Good afternoon, everyone, once again. Um, I'm William Asai Renchi. I'm a training coordinator at Temple Small Business Development Center. The Temple SDC helps small businesses start and grow. We do this through our no-cost consulting, webinars, and training programs. We are proud to be part of this nationally accredited network of SDCs with over 1,000 centers across the United States. You have joined us today on this webinar on the topic, Mastering Excel for Bookkeeping. A follow-up email will be sent to all attendees within the next 2 days with today's materials also. Currently, all attendees have been muted. However, we encourage you to post any questions you may have in the Q&A session or chat so that it will be answered by the presenter at the end of the presentation. So now I hand over the floor to Candice. Yeah.
Hello, everyone, and great afternoon. I hope everyone had a great week. I know many of you were on last week when we did our introduction to the bookkeeping template. I do believe an email was sent out. William, can you confirm that an email was sent out to everyone with the bookkeeping tool?
I think I have to touch base with Taya on that. Yeah, she was supposed to send it, so yeah.
All right. So we will touch bases. And then I'll make sure I follow up with, yeah, I have a couple people saying they did not receive it. Okay. All right. So we will be sure to follow up with William, Taya, and Erica just to make sure you guys do receive them. Um, I'm not aware of receive bookkeeping tool. Do we need a license to use it? You do not need a license to use it. You just got it today. Okay. All right. So I know someone just said they just got it today. So if you want to check your emails really quick just to see if you have it, um, you don't need a license to use it. It's an Excel file. And I created templates inside this Excel file for you to be able to I received the tools if possible to get the training video. Yep. So here's what I'll do. I'll start off. The process didn't work correctly. All right. So I'll start off with first asking anyone that's on a call that was on the session for last week. I'll ask if anyone has any specific questions on how to use the tool. Once I get through those questions, then I can kind of go from the beginning and showing everyone that's on the call how to use the tool. Okay? I think that'll be a nice recap. So, Dawn, you said the process didn't work correctly. What part of the process did not work? Mm, So here's what I'll do. I will bring this up and I will share my screen so that we can get this conversation started. I can answer some great questions and we can work on this together. Mm, All right, so let me share my screen. The info copied over, but jumbled and not in columns as it downloaded. Okay. All right. All right, guys. I haven't received. All right, so we have a mix of people that either did not receive it or had some difficulty using it. Um, Anyone that did not receive it, if you could put your email in the chat and I can try to go ahead and maneuver and send it over right away in real time. All right. So let me go ahead and share Oh, I got a couple people already. All right, so keep putting your emails in the chat. I'm just going to get started with showing the Excel tool and do some talking about it. And then I will go back over, grab all the emails in the chat that's there so far, and I'll send out the tool to everyone so you can have it in real time. All right, so this is our Excel tool for bookkeeping. Everyone can see my screen, right? I think so. I think we're good. All right, you can see my screen. Perfect, perfect. All right, so this is the Excel tool that we are using. Okay. So I have it set up where one of the first things with getting started with bookkeeping is to have all of your transactions and then to go ahead and categorize your transactions and then be able to use that data. So basically, when you go through and categorize your transactions, you're creating books for your business. You then take that data, and with this tool, you're able to take it and turn it into a pivot table. That pivot table will help you easily be able to it'll help you easily be able to put together a profit and loss statement for your business. Okay, so that's the goal of this entire exercise. So this tab right here is the category key. I try to be as inclusive as possible. I know that when you're first getting started up on doing bookkeeping, that's one of the repetitive questions. Oh, well, where should this go? Where should that go? So I try to be inclusive to really provide some really good descriptions for everyone. So it gives you some insight as to where these transactions should be categorized. Okay, so transaction type. The transactions for this exercise is categorized as either an income or an expense, right? So anything that's coming in, we're putting to income. Anything that's going out is going as an expense. Now, we did talk some last week about money that us as business owners put into the business, right? It will be coming into the bank account as income in. However, it's not categorized, especially when we get to tax time, it's not categorized as income. Okay, so just be mindful of that. So if you're putting money in, the transaction type is going to come up as income, but for your category, now it's going to come up as income because of the formula that I have in this file. I try to make some of it easy and like instantly working for you to take some of the manual work out of it. But oh, so someone said that the email came through at 9:47 this morning, and it was the attendee follow-up. All right. So the Excel, the formula that I put in automatically generates the transaction type. And then the category, you're going to have to type that in. So that's why I thought a key like this will be very, very helpful for everyone. Okay. So then once you understand, I say take a look at this and think about the kind of business that you have and what different things may apply. And just read through some of these descriptions just to help you out so that then once you get started in the actual process of categorizing your transactions, it'll be good. Okay. I received the template. That's good. That's good. All right. So just so everyone is aware, there are some additional tabs that we're going to go through today that's not in that first template. So after this call, you will get an updated template with the additional tabs in it as well. So not to confuse anybody, but so yes. So this getting started in Excel tab, this actually lays out everything you need to know if you want to use the tool to convert your bank statements into an Excel file. Okay. I think that someone said when they converted it, it didn't come out right. Now, this converter tool, I was just trying to think of a way to help make the process more simple for everyone. But you have the option. You can use the converter tool. I know that someone last week did ask about the safety parts of things as well. Like, should I be uploading my bank statement into this online converter tool, right? So if you're not comfortable with that, you can definitely type everything in manually in the next tab. Okay. But this does walk you through exactly how to use this converter tool. When you open this up, it takes you directly to this bank statement converter tool, and you can actually upload bank statements here, and it'll take and convert it into an Excel file that you can then copy and paste into this template. All right, so once you generate, this is what the template will look like. Now, when you are copying and pasting this data, you're only copying from row 3, so where the data starts, and you're going over to column D. You're not bringing in column E. Okay, so I'm not sure if maybe that was the part that messed anyone up, as far as taking this data and inputting it into the template. But remember, you're not bringing in column E. And then you're also not bringing in the top heading columns either. Okay. So then once we go on to our next tab, this is where you start inputting data to then be able to have books for your business. Okay. So the blue section right here, this is where you copy and paste the data that you got from the converter tool if you are using that. Now, if you are not using the converter tool, then you would literally use your bank statement and type this data in. So the date, a quick description, and then whether it's a withdrawal or a deposit. Okay. No, none of these lines should have numbers in both columns. It should be in one or the other. Okay. Another thing for the person that said when they went and pasted the data, it didn't work. Now, you do have to input zeros for, I put a note over here that you must type in hold on one second. You must type in zeros in the withdrawal column in order for this column to work. Okay. So any of the lines that do not have a withdrawal amount, when you first paste the data in here, it's going to come up as, I believe it just has a line through it, but you have to put a zero in that column in order for this formula over here to work. Okay, so again, this column and this column, these are formulas. You don't enter anything in those columns. It automatically populates based upon what you enter in over here. Okay, also, another thing that I'll do on the final copy that's coming to everyone, I will make it so that the formula, I'll provide two versions. One version will have the formulas for those that find the process nice and smooth. Another version won't have the formulas so that you can maneuver it however you want to get to the final product. Okay. Ideally, once you have all your data in this section right here, now we do type in the month because when we go ahead and create tables, it's so beneficial for us as business owners to be able to see how our business is doing from month to month. Okay, so that is why when you're going through the process of typing in a month here, just know that it's very beneficial for your business and it's needed. Okay. Again, this is the vendor section. Now, it may not necessarily be included in the description. So you do have to refer to your bank statements when you're doing this part as well. So you're putting in the month, a vendor, and you're also putting in whatever category it belongs in. And again, to get some help as to what category it goes in, you can always refer to that category key. Okay. So once all of our business owners inputs all of this data, you come over here to the pivot table tab and you literally hit you right click and hit refresh. Okay. Now these tabs, they are locked because they are just, these are tabs for you to refer back to. They're all labeled as examples. Okay. So you're not supposed to be able to make changes to these. These are set as examples for you. All right. So these tabs here are the tabs that you're going to be able to make changes to and create statements for your business. Okay. So I will. All right. So I think that most of us were able to find the statements. So I'll do one more call out. Anybody that still does not have this Excel tool, just read put your email back in for me. I'll gather all of those emails and send it. I just don't want to go through and gather the emails for anyone that said that, hey, I do have it. I'm good. Okay. Actually, let me call out. All right. Is there a way to mine the spreadsheet data by the client? Uh-huh. That's a good question, John. All right. Angel still doesn't have it. Melissa doesn't have it. So John, you want to be able to create a statement that shows your total service income for the year by client. Is that what you're saying to me? Gotcha. Understood. So give me 1 second. All right, let me stop sharing real quick because I have about 7 emails in here for people that said they didn't get it yet. So let me go ahead and save this and go ahead and send it out. John, I do have a solution for you. Just give me 1 minute. All right, guys, grabbing all the emails and I will send out this updated tool. All right. I got Angel on here. I got Melissa. I think you said you got yours, but I got Yuli. Please forgive me if I mispronounce anyone's name. I do apologize. Big on names. All right, Julie, John, who else? Elvis, Ada, Lorenzo. All right, Joan. All right, last call. Anyone who still needs the Excel template sent over to them, please put your email in the chat and I'm emailing it over right now. I think I have everyone. It's Roxanne. Andrea Johnson. All right, sending this email out to everyone. I think I saw this moving. Did I get any more emails? Oh, Brenda. All right, Brenda, I got you. Okay. Let me make sure I have the most updated version. The body of the email just says, please see attached. Everyone can open that up. All right, let me open it back up and then let's get back to these questions we have. Can we use transactions used with cash? I also had people sponsor some of my calls. I do need to include that as well. So sponsor some of your costs. So for the purposes of tracking income coming in and going out, yes, Melissa, I would track that. I would just, when you categorize it, just put who it came from, maybe. So you can even put sponsor and then put what it is, right? Um, Everyone just be mindful that that transaction key, I provided that just to help in case you get stuck with not knowing what transactions or what categories you should include, right? However, this is your files, right? This is your documents, your files, your books for your business. So, whatever is specific to the activity you have going on, yes, categorize it as such, right? So, for example, if I were you, I would put as sponsor um I don't know, let's put Temple, right? So if that's the sponsor that gave you those funds, then put it there. And it will be labeled as income, but so this is what the pivot table looks like. All right, so here's another thing. So I wanted to do it in real time to show everyone on the call. So once you input all the data in this section, once you go to this next tab, the pivot table template, you go here, you right click, and this tells you exactly what to do right here, right? So you right click and then go down to refresh. Boom. All right. Now in your instance, let's go back here real quick. So let's see. Let's say that this wasn't service income. Let's say, I don't know, it came from a sponsor, right? So when I put that there, when I refresh it, it'll have a whole nother line, sponsor Temple, right? Or however you want to word it, Melissa, that works for you, you word it in that way. When it comes to taking this and putting it into a profit and loss statement, um, and I'll put a note down here too. Um, Sponsor payments, the owner's investment does not go on your profit and loss statement. Right? We went over this last week. Your profit and loss statement is the business income. So whether you're a service business or you sell products, you whatever income that's coming in the business, your income minus your expenses will give you either your net income or profit or your net loss in your business. Okay? But once you go through, and I love this exercise of using your bank statement to document all the transactions, because this will make sure that you have everything that's happening in your business, right? Then you go ahead and refresh the pivot table. So now you have the totals here for everything. So now you can take this data and maneuver it how you need it to go, right? Also, if you just have this table right here, and well, of course, complete, right, for the whole year, and you take this to your tax preparer, they will know what to do with any things that do not belong in the profit and loss statement of your taxes. Okay. So even if you're a person that's like, what was she saying? What parts belong in the profit and loss statement and not? It's okay. It's okay. As long as you have this right here, tax preparer will be great at going ahead and taking this to prepare your taxes. All right. So let me see. I think I had some more questions popping up as well. If I can get back to it. Oh, here we go. I have my mistake. No worries, no worries. Thank you. I received it. Oh, you lost audio. Okay. Got it, got it. All right. So then, John, back to your question, John. You asked if you, so in your sense, having a subcategory here would help you out. Um, Here's what I'll do, John. I have your, actually, let me ask this. Nope. I'll just include it. I'll just include it. Category. I'll do a subcategory. Subcategory will be for anything such as what John asked about what if you want to see your service income by name, right? So here is where you would put, I don't know, right? Who's the other person? The other service income line is here, right? So what I'll do is I'll create another table that you can do the subcategories and you could be able to easily have a full table showing you the totals of each person. Okay. Um, Let me see. So throughout this tool, I put notes in here and there to kind of help everyone out. If you're trying to think back on, oh, how do I do this again? There are notes on this side as well. It goes over what I explained at the beginning of this. When you get your Excel extraction file from that converter tool, then you can go ahead and paste it into the blue section over here, right? Then you have to manually enter the data in the highlighted yellow columns, right? So you have to manually enter those. My columns did change because I added in something additional to the right. So I'll update these. We also went over last week, anytime we're looking in Excel, when we talk about columns and rows, the columns are, of course, across the top here. They are with letters, and rows are across this way. They are the numbers. So anytime we're referring to a specific cell, if we're in this cell right here, this cell is column D, row 7. So this cell is D7. Okay. Just for anyone that's like, what is she talking about? Each block in this Excel file has its own cell, column, and row number. Okay. All right. So let me, I got one more person that hasn't received it. So let me just get this over to Sharice. Sharice. So I love us doing things in real time. So for everyone that has received it, if you're able to open it up and start playing around with it right now in real time, we still do have an hour together. So that's perfect for me to be able to answer any questions as you're playing around with the tool and you have any questions that come up. All right, so I'm going to forward this. If I don't see any questions coming through, then I'll continue to talk about the other parts of the file that can be very useful for you all in your businesses. I don't think I copied the right email. Say, Sharice, I gotcha. And close this out. Let me send it because I still have it open. All right, y'all. As soon as I get this over to Sharice, then I'll hop back into the chat, see if we have any more questions. If there are no more questions, then I'll go through the other useful information that is included in this tool. All right, Sharice, you should have it very, very soon. Um, mm, mhm. All right, so Q&A. All right, so we have a question in here. I asked these questions in the last session, but I had to leave before the end of the meeting. What tools available to help audit insurance claims or liquid assets or agreements from a business to another business? Would you recommend? Perfect, Brenda. Would you recommend the external help to manage larger catalogs and why? What are some scenarios where proper bookkeeping becomes vital? Yep, I remember these questions. Okay. So to audit insurance claims, what kind of business are you in? Just curious. And then keeping track of liquid assets or agreements from another business. So you ask, would I recommend external help to manage these larger catalogs? Absolutely. Absolutely. I would also recommend help in putting a process together to keep track of what your assets are and things of such. And even the agreements from one business to another, I would definitely tell you to get some additional help to cover those things. I don't feel that's not something that we can really cover in just an Excel tool at all. It's pretty in depth. And then since you have questions about it, I assume that it's probably something that you should jump on sooner rather than later as far as getting some assistance with that, right? Um, what are some scenarios where proper bookkeeping becomes vital? I just had this issue earlier today. Oftentimes when it comes to being able to position our businesses to take advantage of different opportunities, if we don't have our books in order to then be able to um understand our numbers in our business, we're not able to really assess where we can reduce expenses, where we can cut costs, right? We're not able to see areas where it's like, okay, I have different service lines. I know this service line is doing better than others. Either what can I do to maybe I need to take all of my attention and put it into this one service line because it's so much more lucrative than the others, right? So having books in your for your business really puts you in a position where you can analyze your business as a whole and really be able to tell how you're doing, right? I have a client that they bring in a lot of income. However, they also have a lot of expenses. So her cash flow is in a really, really bad position. And that's not good for a business either. So to really assess, okay, I know my expenses are high. What are my highest expenses? Where are some areas that I can cut costs and be in a better position? Right? Um, I've also had clients in which they did not file business taxes because they did not have their books in order to be able to know what their numbers are. So that's definitely a scenario where bookkeeping is vital for a business, right? Understanding what your numbers are so that you can then have a table like what we just reviewed and be able to take that and take it to your tax preparer to then get assistance with filing your taxes. Okay. I want a quick note to everyone. When we don't file business taxes, we're hurting ourselves and we are giving up the opportunity to let the IRS know about our expenses and deductions that we have to go against that income to then help bring down our tax liability. Okay. Many of us that are operating through the different third party platforms, the IRS knows about the income that we are making because these third party platforms report 1099s. As long as you make over $20,000 on the platform, they take it and report that 1099 to the IRS. So the IRS knows about the income part, right? When we don't file the business taxes, then the IRS, they only know about the income. When you file the taxes, you let them know about the expenses and other deductions in your business. All right. So if you don't file, they only know about the income and then they're assessing taxes based on that full income number. So not filing business taxes is hurting you. Okay. Most likely the tax liability that the IRS is saying that you owe when you actually file your business taxes, your liability should definitely be less than that because you're going to apply your expenses and deductions against it. Okay? And what days does bookkeeping relate to understanding the economy? Oh man, I went in on this last week. You weren't on though. So, understanding the economy, I feel like the world we're in right now, all of our costs are going up, right? Going to go buy a gallon of milk, going to buy eggs, like costs of everything are going up, right? But it's one thing to just say it as opposed to being able to actually see it in the numbers for your business, right? So you can say, when you look at the numbers for your business, you can actually say, okay, yes, expenses are going up. And they're going up because they're going up for me and my business. They went up in these areas, right? And you can say, okay, last year compared to this year, my costs have increased this amount, right? So you can really get an idea of what things in this economy, in this changing world, what things are specifically affecting your business, right? You may be surprised as well because some areas maybe it didn't go up as much as you thought it did. But without knowing your numbers and being able to see your numbers, you really don't know, right? Um, will we need to do this for city and state taxes and federal separately? So when you file taxes, you're doing federal, state, and then you're doing it at the city level, your local level. And if your city of Philadelphia is the BERT and the MPT. So Melissa, when you say, will you need to do this? I'm not sure exactly what part you're talking about, but as far as the record keeping part of it, you do this one time, right? You do this holistically for your business, and then those numbers apply to all of those areas. So will you need to file? Yes. So normally tax preparers do your federal and state, and if you ask them, most likely they can also do the local as well. Um, but yes, also to your question, a startup LLC. Uh-huh. So yes, you do need to file separately. Now, thank you, Melissa, for that question because it made me think about something. So a lot of times people think that they have to do their business and personal taxes separately. Now, if you are a single member LLC, your business and personal taxes go are filed together. Okay, your business taxes are filed on a Schedule C, and then your profit or your loss number flows over to your 1040 on the personal side, but it's all in one packet together. All right. Thank you so much for that question, Melissa, because I get clients all the time that are like, oh, I already did my personal taxes, but now I need help for the business taxes. No, if you're a single member LLC, they go together. Now, if you are an S corp or a partnership or a corporation, those entity types have a separate tax return on their own. And then there's another document basically that gives you the numbers to then input it on your personal taxes. Okay. But never file your business taxes and personal taxes separately if you're a single member LLC. Okay. Do you recommend including business on yearly taxes even if there's no income from it for a while? If there's no income from it, but so good question, Brenda. So let me go into like the tax law side real quick and then move forward with like answering your question directly. So the IRS uh, the IRS allows you to file a business loss for up to 3 years before it kind of catches a red flag, right? So for you to say that, even if it has no income from it, so do you have expenses that you're still paying to uphold the business? That's my one question. If so, then yes, you may want to still file it, number one. Number two, you may want to just fully assess the business to say, like, okay, what's happening here? Like, is this still a business? Or should I kind of close things out and shut things down. So you kind of have to assess it for your own. But yes, I would still recommend continuing to file the taxes. And understanding that when we first start up businesses, the IRS allows business losses for up to 3 years, with the understanding that when you first start a business, when you're buying equipment, materials, and all of the things, most oftentimes that first year or two or so in business, you're probably going to be either break even or a loss, right? But after that third year, the IRS looks at it like, okay, is this a business or is it a hobby? Right? If you haven't been in a situation with after 3 years, you're not able to make any kind of profit or you're not bringing in any income, what's happening with this business? Right? So after that fourth year, you may be in a situation where an audit comes about or something like that because of it being the fourth year of filing a business loss or no income. All right. Now, single member LLC, are you required by tax law to file a tax return if there is no income? No, you are not. Okay. But again, the way I see it is if it's no income, but we still had to pay out some expenses, you may want to assess where you are with things. All right. All right, so let me start up here. Message overlook. I did not receive the document. Program via a copy of the last week webinar was sent. So Jill, I have the Excel file. I can send that to you. I don't have a copy of the webinar. I believe William said that it's posted somewhere on the Temple side of things. All right. Melissa, I have two businesses that have not made money yet, and my Airbnb that makes just a little. Not sure how to find them. Trying to figure out the same thing. Yep. Formed the LLC, but haven't done anything with it. However, wanted to keep it for future use. All right. So, in the situation that we have a business and we've established the LLC and everything, but we haven't done anything with it, there's no income and there's no expenses. No, you don't have to file a tax return. I will say, with the new requirement for the annual filing, make sure you're on top of your annual filing, right? Because we don't want now, the annual filing, there's no numbers involved. It's basically just affirming to the IRS that, yes, you still own this business. It is still planning to be in use. Okay. So when you say you want to keep it for future use, make sure you stay on top of the annual filings. I was forced to file tax return even though I don't want even able to keep my Airbnb license. Okay. Okay. So that situation, Melissa, is a good point. Sometimes in order to keep different licensing and things like that, then yes. So it really depends on what your business entails. If there are additional licensing with it, hmm, I can't seem to enter any numbers into those pages or the pages to use. How do you enter information? So Lee, look at the pages. Let me open this back up. Mm-mm, mm-mm. So the pages that are locked that says example at the end of it, you're not supposed to be able to enter data in there. Those are just examples for you to be able to refer to. But the tables at the end more that says bookkeeping template, pivot table, those are the ones that you can manipulate and enter your data in. So the couple of tabs at the beginning that has the lock in front of it, you're not able to make changes to them. Okay, so the after the agenda for 922, that first tab there is where you can start entering in your data. Okay. I think John asked the question, John and someone else asked the question of how to add subcategories. You can literally right click, do enter, and just type subcategory up here, and then you can enter in your data. That's what I did to add this column. And then, all right, so I'll show everyone here John, and I forget who the other person was that asked, but pay attention here. So you're going to take here and copy all of your data, right? However long your data goes down to, right? Then you're going to hit insert pivot table. You're going to go ahead and let it create a pivot table in a new worksheet. Okay. All right. So now you have added your subcategory column, right? We're still going to have our rows go by month, just to tell us by month what's happening. We are going to, nope, I'm sorry. On the other one, I have our by month up in the column. So it'll go straight across. Perfect. So then subcategory, we'll bring it down here, right? And remember, Andrea Johnson is the only one I put in here so far as where the income came in from. And then the amount column goes here. Okay, so it does have, remember, we didn't put subcategories for every section. So the section, the lines that we did not put subcategories for, is going to show as blank. But if our purpose is in having this subcategory to see what's our total amount we paid to that, what's the total amount that Andrea Johnson paid into us for service income this year, that's how we're able to generate it. Okay, so that's how you create a pivot table. Now, on the other tab, I already embedded the pivot table in this file for you to make it a little easier. But if you ever are working with any kind of data and you want to go ahead and create a pivot table, that's how you do it. Okay. All right. So let me go back to my chat because I had some more questions there. All right. So what happens if if you pay taxes with your husband, the LLC as well, what did you recommend? So you're filing a married filing jointly tax return, I'm assuming, and you have your LLC on it as well. So anytime I have married clients, I always prefer for you to do married filing jointly. Um, Oftentimes when one is a business owner and the other is not, for some reason they want to file separately. Now, each of you are going to get less of that standard deduction when you file separately. So I don't like the filing separately. I like to file married filing jointly. And the part about what I would recommend, I think that's what you're talking about as far as the filing status. Is that it, Yuli? I'll wait for your answer on that. And then can you go back and yes, perfect. Yes, file married filing jointly. When you do married filing separately, that standard deduction alone is going to be less for each of you. So it's going to put you behind, period. And we also have an LLC together. Perfect. Perfect. Now, are both of you owners on the LLC or is it just one of you that's an owner on the LLC? Both. Okay. Yes, keep it all together. Keep it all together. Okay. Can you go back and change a filing? I didn't make any money, but I lost money. I just didn't know what you are teaching us when I filed. Yes, you can go back and do an amendment. Now, as long as it was within this past 3 years. Okay. So you don't want to go beyond. So you can do 22, 23, 24, right? But you don't want to go before 2022. Okay. But yes, you can do an amendment and put in your business tax return and file your loss. Okay. Um, Thank you so much. May you please see the recording along with the new files, please? Yes. So I don't have the recording. William from Temple side will have to get the recording over, but yes, I can send the new files. Okay. Perfect, perfect, perfect. All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and see what else we have. What happened when you pay section? Oh, okay, gotcha. All right, so now let's look at what the rest of our Excel template has to offer. Because I was really excited when I was putting this together. Okay, so we're here. So let's come down to the end. So again, this is our template that we are entering in all of the data. This is the tab where we are refreshing our pivot table to then see our numbers populate in here. I left this blank just for you to be able to put your profit and loss statement here. I think that's useful. So then let's talk about what it means to reconcile our books. So when we reconcile, yep, so understanding your bank reconciliations, tracking your cash flow, understanding balance sheets, those are all really, really good things that are like next level things to know for your business. So when we say reconciliation or reconcile your books, it's basically taking what you have here, okay? What you have here as far as all your transactions and all the data for your business. That's taking this and comparing it to your bank statement totals, okay? Now, the reason why that's done is because human error, while we're putting together our books, it is quite possible that we could miss a transaction or miss a line or even maybe type in a number wrong over here, right? Especially if we're doing it manual and we're not using the converter tool, it's possible we can make a mistake. So we do a reconciliation to reconcile our books, our transactions to our bank statement. Okay. So I went ahead and created two tables here. So this is a pivot table that will generate based upon what you have entered in this table. Okay, so that's a pivot table already put together. And I put this pivot table together to show the month. It shows all of the withdrawals for each month and all of the deposits for each month. Okay. So when you go ahead and do your reconciliation, you're starting off with a beginning bank balance that goes here. You add in from your bank statement though, okay? Add in the withdrawal totals and then the deposit totals from your bank statement. All right. This right here will automatically populate with your ending balance based upon what you entered in for your beginning balance, minus withdrawals plus deposits. This will automatically generate. However, your job is to double check that number and make sure that that number equals the same amount of your ending balance on your bank statement. If that does not match, then you enter something wrong with these three numbers. Okay. Now, going along with bank reconciliation, your next beginning balance for the beginning of the next month is your ending balance from the prior month. So this is automatically a formula that's bringing in this number right here. Okay. I tried to take away some of the manual work for you, and tried to implement some formulas in here based upon how it should flow. So when you get to this point, if that beginning balance number that populates right here is not our beginning balance for February 2025 bank statement, something's wrong in the numbers that entered in up here. Okay. So you may want to go back and check, all right, what happened up here? Okay. But as you go through, you can then have your beginning balance, withdrawal, deposits, and then ending balance for that month. Now, what you do while you're going month by month, you compare the withdrawal total that you have in all your transactions that we pulled from that bookkeeping template tab. You compare that total compared to the withdrawal amount that you just pulled from your bank statement. If there is any disconnect, if these two numbers do not equal the same exact thing, then there's something wrong in your transactions. And you need to look back to this tab and basically compare each of the transactions for that month, compare it to your bank statement, and figure out what either number was entered the wrong way or what line was missed. Okay? So that's reconciliation. All right. So then I also embedded on this same tab, I embedded something for cash flow. So this is a formula as well. And what it does is it takes our deposits for the month and then deducts the withdrawals for the month. That will show us a true picture of our cash flow for that month. Okay. Now, don't be confused with our ending bank balance, right? So we may have some cash flow included in this ending bank balance that then flows over to our beginning bank balance from the prior month. But then this current month, we could be in a situation where the money we brought in was less than what we pushed out, right? On the bank statement side of things, our money still in our account from the prior month may make it so that we still end the month in a positive number. However, our cash flow calculation will really show how the business did on a snapshot of month by month. Okay. Let me jump over to my questions real quick to see if I have anything in the chat. The refresh tab. Where's the refresh tab? Refresh tab is that pivot table tab. So the pivot table template, when you go here, right click it and hit refresh. Okay. So the fact that you asked for that tab, I feel like you're at that point where you enter some of your data in and you're trying to see it populate on the table. So did it work for you? All right, Lee, you got to let me know if it worked for you and let me know. How's it going? Now, another quick tip too, when you first generate this table, it's not going to be in this month order. At least when I first generated the table, January was back here and it went up from, so it basically went the most recent month and it went down. Just because visually it looks better for me to see January, February, March in order, I did this. I clicked on here and I put it in ascending order. And that is what made it so that it's the beginning of the year going throughout to current month. So you may have to do that as well. All right. So anyone that's still trying to gather like, okay, how to maneuver through the transactions themselves and trying to get this pivot table, me going into the reconciliation and cash flow, that may be too much for right now. But I didn't want to not go into it and let you all know that it is here for your use as well. Okay. Also in here, you can see this balance sheet and other tools. So I thought it was important. Nice. I thought it was important because now I didn't include anything on here to actually put together a balance sheet because I feel like I want everyone to focus on all of their transactions and understanding how to put together a profit and loss statement, right? However, I did think it was important just to give you some information here to understand what is included in a balance sheet, right? So at least you know high level. If anyone ever talks to you about a balance sheet, you know what's included, right? It gives you a snapshot of all your assets, liabilities, and equity in the business. Okay. Separate spreadsheet for part one. No, it's not a separate spreadsheet. I basically just part one webinar only included up until here, the profit and loss statement tab. These other additional tabs were add-ons. Okay, so you have this one right here. So this includes everything. So you're not missing anything. Are there other resources besides the spreadsheets that will be emailed to attendees? So I know that the video will be emailed as well from Temple side of things. Now, again, this spreadsheet is ours individually as business owners to use. So you can take this, and this is a starting point for you, but you can kind of manipulate it to how you need it to be for your business. Okay, so just like John, you asked about being able to see your service income by name, right? Now, on your actual profit and loss statements, let me go over to this other tab because it's a more complete version of a profit and loss statement. If I can get over there. So you have to right click. So while you're on this tab, Lee, you have to right click. Once you right click, then it allows you to hit that refresh button. Other tools. When I have also doesn't have a reconciliation cash flow, the balance sheet and other tools modeling says reconcile and bank statements after that. Understood. So you don't have this most recent updated version. You will have it after this call. But Lee, were you able to right click and see where it says refresh? If you don't right click, then it's not going to show up, but you have to right click and then hit the refresh. All right, so let me come. When I screen share, some of my stuff is not available for me to see it. This arrow right here. Okay, so here we go. So let me come back over here. I got a question. Same question. All right. So for everyone, once you enter all your data from January to now, this is what you will have. This is kind of a complete version of what you will have. Now, for John, when you ask, how can I see the names of the people for the service income? I wouldn't put their names just in the category column because then it's going to fill up your income section with all those names, and that won't help you as far as having a clean profit and loss statement, right? So that's why I said just add that subcategory column, and then you can have a separate table showing you your breakdown of what's in the subcategory. I also, I'm not sure if the other person is still on that asked about the benefits of having bookkeeping in your business. And when I was saying that you're able to actually review and see any changes in your business, right? So I'm able to see that marketing, I don't pay for marketing every month. I do it. So I started up in March and I do it every other month and it's about the same amount. And, that's the strategy that I decided for my business and it's working, right? So then also I'm able to see that um do, 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 do. Equipment. So equipment for a while was steady and then in June it drastically went up over $10,000 more. So that's something I may want to look into to make sure that that amount, that drastic increase, make sure it's correct and figure out what's going on, right? I'm also able to, from this, I'm able to see that my insurance drastically went up in July. If I may want to look into this number to figure out, okay, why did it go up? Like, what's going on? Like, did I have a policy renewal and maybe I had an accident or something and it made my insurance go up higher? Like, I don't know. Just figuring out why that drastic increase is a good thing to look at. Also, I'm able to look at this and see from month to month. Oh, anyone who was not on here last week, I did explain that I'm able to create this pivot table based upon the data in that other tab. However, I'm not able to, in the pivot table, be able to have the function where it says income minus expenses. Okay. So as the table will generate for you, it's going to have a grand total that's adding everything together. When it comes to our profit and loss statement, we want to know once we take this income. So if you click on here, it shows you what to sales in make up that number. All right. So that number was created by taking our total income minus total expenses. And that gives us the true number on whether it is a profit, so whether it's net income, or if it's a loss, net loss in our business. So we started off the year strong, and then it looks like our income number, our net income, went down each month. It drastically dropped in May and then dropped significantly more in June. Now I do know that that business loss in this month mainly came from that big piece of equipment that we purchased, right? So it makes sense, but that equipment is going to help us as we move forward and bringing in more income in our business. So it drastically went down in June, and then it came back up in July and up higher in August. So as long as I'm planning things right from an income and then, reducing expenses as I can, I'm going to continue on the upward trajectory in my business. Okay. So let's see. I got some more questions. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. So Lee, you're not supposed to refresh it on a protective. How about this? Here's what I'll do. Just so everyone is not confused with which tabs they should be using, I will break it up. I'll provide one Excel file that shows the examples, and I'll give the other one that just have the templates for you to go ahead and enter in your data. And I hope that helps. I know that sometimes if you're not used to using the Excel, when it's a lot of tabs, it gets confusing. So I'll break it up for you all so it's a little easier to use, okay? So when I send it out, the file that has the examples will say example. Perfect. All right. Good, good, good. And then the other one will be the one for you to enter and stuff for your business. All right. Good, good, good. Um, So then I'm noticing that I need to increase my nightly rate, and I'm just putting down my bills. I love it. I love it. Let's go. Um, I recommend cash basis. I recommend cash basis for sure. Because when it comes to the accrual side, I feel like so cash basis for me helps you more as a solo entrepreneur and small to medium business because it more aligns with your cash flow. And I feel like as a small to medium sized business that's working on scaling, working on making sure you have the income to cover all of your expenses and all of those things, that cash basis will help you the best. Okay. The accrual method, for anyone not really sure, the accrual method is when you recognize the income um before you recognize the income as you provide the service or equipment or supplies or materials, right? You recognize that income as you provide that. However, that doesn't necessarily mean that that person has actually paid you that cash yet. Okay. So I definitely recommend doing cash basis in which it's recognized when the person pays. So if you are in a situation where your billing is like a 30 to 60 day, whatever the case may be, right? So you allow someone to receive your services or your products and then they can pay you later on. I recommend documenting that income on a accounts receivable basis. So record it in accounts receivable side and keep it separate, but it's not included in your full breakdown. Okay. Would it make more sense to list fuel in the monthly spreadsheet versus mileage? Yes. Yes, list fuel for sure. Mileage, you want to keep a separate, you can even create another tab in here to keep track of your mileage. Now, the mileage is where your tax preparer will be able to take and calculate the mileage rate and be able to give you credit for those miles from a tax standpoint. Okay. But you don't want to include that in your profit and loss statement. Mhm, mhm, mhm. Yes, you are very, very welcome. Trying to see if I missed any questions here. I don't think I did. Okay. Um, I think I also mentioned this last week, but I want to reiterate it because this is a big one. When it comes to us business owners that may not have a separate commercial space or anything like that for our businesses, and we sometimes operate out of our homes, we do have the option when it comes to tax time, we have the option of taking advantage of in-home office deduction. Okay. However, that's something that's calculated at the tax preparer level. For your purposes, you don't want to list any home bills in your profit and loss statement. Okay. I say that because as a business owner operating out of your home, you don't get credit for that entire bill, right? You don't get credit for the entire bill. The way it works, to step into it slightly, not too much, right? But the way it works is say that the office that you operate out of at your in-home office, say that it is 200 square feet. All right. Say your home is, I don't know, 1,000 square feet. That's a small, but 1,000 square feet, right? That means that for tax purposes, you're only allowed to deduct 20% of your home bills because it takes the square footage of that office that you operate in and it divides the square footage of your home to get a percentage. So then it comes up to whatever the percentage is. All right, it's a percentage. And then you get that percentage of those bills, right? However, for tax time, it's two ways that calculation is done. It can either be the simplified method or the in-depth method. In-depth is what I just described, like doing the actual square footage, now finding out the total of all your household bills and then doing the allocation part, right? That's the in-depth method. What I found numerous times, even after going through the entire exercise, I found that most clients make out better with doing the standard deduction. The standard deduction allows you to do the $1,500 as a standard in-home office deduction. So do not add any of your home bills to your profit and loss statement. Okay. If you want to keep track of all your household bills, do it on a separate tab. So then you have all those numbers together. Also, have a note of the square footage of your in-home office and the square footage of your entire home. Give all that information to your tax preparer. Let them do the work from there. But I wouldn't want you to include any household bills in this breakdown and then it inflates your business expenses and it's not accurate as far as what you can get the deduction for from a tax law standpoint. Okay, so keep them separately. Someone asked this last week. I do want to reiterate it because it was a great question. Someone asked that if I put money into the business, would that be seen as income? So no, it's not seen as income from a standpoint of it's not seen as income from a standpoint of your profit and loss statement. No. Nope, you're not taxed on the amount that you put into your business. That would be crazy, right? You're taxed on your personal side on however you earn that income, and then you're taxed again when you put it into the business. But no, that's not how it works. When you put money into your business, it's called a owner's investment. Okay, so you're not taxed on that from an income perspective. When you take money out of your business, however, you are taxed on that amount because that's seen as your income that you took out of the business. What percentage of your home would you? We use a percentage of our home for the bills, but would it be better to have a rental contract like a business rent, even if it's in your basement? So you can, but in that sense, it will really be like shifting the income, right? Because if you're charging your business rent, then that money that you're getting credit for from the business side for those expenses, right? So it's helping reduce your business tax liability, but then you're paying it on your personal side. So then you would have to record the income on that side. So I don't know if that would do best. I like the option of just doing the standard deduction for sure. Um, yeah, I like the standard deduction. My clients over and over again, I've seen that the standard deduction helped out the best. Oh, yes, please fill out the survey. We would much greatly appreciate it. Yep. Feedback is always good, right? For sure. I do want to also say that it's been a pleasure to be here with everyone. We do still have some more time. We have about 13 more minutes together. But it's been an absolute pleasure. Our business was started based on me and my business partners desire to help small businesses. I have been an accountant now for over 15 years. I work in corporate accounting. I've also helped nonprofits. I also help small businesses. I'm a financial controller for a nonprofit institute in the city. And in addition to that, I operate We Rise Business Solutions. So we really, really are big on our community and really helping our small businesses when it comes to understanding your finances and taking away the stigma that tax time is so scary. I'm like that unicorn, right? I'm the accountant that's also has the social side of things. So really, really digging in and helping business owners is such a joy and such a pleasure to me. So it's definitely a pleasure to be here with all of you guys. I love the questions. I get excited. We've had numerous projects in which a business owner comes to us that maybe they've been operating for 2, 3 years, but never filed business taxes. So the exercise of actually taking their bank statements and composing books for their business. I was a kid that did math problems as fun. So that the whole part of that project is really enjoyable to me. And seeing a business owner that has been afraid to file taxes, and then I put together books for them and I'm able to file their business taxes, it's like a whole new world, right? I'll also say, yes, I do. Yep. I'll also say that when it comes to having our business books and our taxes in line, we set ourselves up to be in a much better position. There are many grants out here and different opportunities for small business owners, but if we don't have our books in line, most oftentimes we don't have the things in line to be able to qualify for these things. Okay, so if we're not buckling down and keeping track of our books, we're really hurting ourselves because we don't know what's really happening in our business and we don't have the data that we need to really make the changes that are needed to affect the numbers, right? Um, then on a simple balance sheet in your Excel. I can add that, Donna. Let me make a note for that real quick. Um, I will add that. I will. I had to make a note of it because once I keep going on, I might forget. Yes, Donna, I'll add that before the updated file is sent out. And yes, we do offer consultations. Send a note to your contact on the Temple side. Um, we are, what area are you in? So our office is located at Broad and Clearfield. We are what, 2 blocks away from Broad Street. It's an awesome office. We also offer a bunch of our services virtually as well. So whatever part is convenient for you all, it works. Yep. We do a lot of different like community um workshops and things like that. So you guys are definitely going to see more of us for sure. Yep. Can you please share your personal business account? I would like to connect Marianne Campbell at Eddie's house. Let's see. So I will just throw that's our email. And then that's our phone number as well. And then so also, I'm not sure where you all are as far as where you are in the process with Temple, but I do believe that they're offering opportunities for you all to have consultations with us as well. So I'm not sure what method you have to go as far as setting up that consultation, but email your contact on the Temple side, and we can get that working as well. So I got a request to add in a balance sheet example inside the Excel file. Is there anything else that I should add in that would be beneficial to anyone on the call before I send the updated Excel file over? Anything else you guys have top of mind that you're looking at like, ah, this would be more useful if I had this inside of it? Hmm. Mm. So John, yes, myself and my business partner, we did do our website on our own. And we're super proud of it. So every time we get a compliment on it, it's like a super proud moment. Um, the location of the months. Okay. Any thoughts or suggestions? So we use Pipeline. And we can talk some more about it, but Pipeline actually has all of our, oh my goodness. So it's a CRM system, and it also helps us with keeping track of all of our clients' data as well. We actually, you're able to have profiles inside of it with notes on all of your clients, any documents you need to save in there. Like it's an awesome tool, and it also houses our website as well. So I would definitely recommend Pipeline. I can send information on that as well. All right. The location of the months. Okay. So Melissa, what is pipeline? So, Melissa, when you say a location of the months, do you think it should be moved to the back of the columns, or what are your thoughts? So let me know what you're thinking, Melissa, as far as the location of the months. I'm just trying to put them in as you have them. Oh, oh, inside the table you're talking about, inside the pivot table for them to be, I gotcha. Okay. So I'll put a quick like to do on how you change because before it's data in that table, I can't situate it. So I gotcha. I gotcha. I'll put instructions on how to change around the columns. Got it. All right. So what is pipeline? What software did you use to develop the website and the CRM? We use pipeline. Pipeline is it's like a business hub. So it has your CRM system and you can create your website into this pipeline system as well. Yes, it's awesome. Hmm. So similar to like a Wix. Yes. Yeah. I would say similar to a Wix, but just the functionalities of it, like we do automations in there, like we can actually click a button and have email sent out to all of our clients, or as we move along in our processes, like our tax process, when we're finished a client's taxes, we move them over into a new bucket. It sends them a message that says your taxes are done, click this button to schedule your tax review call. So it's awesome. It is called Pipeline Pro. I can email you a link for it because I know when you just Google pipeline, it's a couple of different ones that show up. So I can email you the link, John. Let me make sure I have your email in here. Or how about this? I can include it for everyone when we send it out. I'll include it. Yeah, perfect. I'll include the link to everyone when the recap email is sent out. And Melissa, I'm including instructions on how to change around the months. I know I said it last week, guys, but I recommend that you look at your transactions in your bank account weekly, and I recommend that you do your books, a full rundown of your books monthly. Okay. Now, just taking a look at your transactions weekly will help you catch any transactions that should not be charged to you, right? Specifically, these random subscriptions that we signed up for months ago and we forgot about and we don't even realize that they're still charging us, right? If you look at it weekly and you see enough times that these people are still charging me, let's get rid of this $40 charge that's coming through every single month, right? That'll help cut some costs for sure. And then doing your books monthly, it will be a game changer from for your business, right? And then everyone, right now, you have to get caught up with your books, right? So right now, you should be working on your books from January to August so that you have something solid when it comes to the end of the year and going into tax season. Also, I said last week, guys, tax season is not just from January to April. Tax season is year round, right? It's all year long because when we go and put together our taxes during that tax filing time, it's including data that happened throughout the entire year. So we should not only think about tax time as that time, January through April. We should think about tax time as now while things are happening and we have the opportunity to keep track of things, cut costs or increase revenue or whatever the case may be. We have a chance to make changes while it's happening as opposed to only knowing our numbers during tax time. Okay. We are at 28 minutes. Any other questions before we wrap up today? Yes. I will be able to figure out where I went wrong. I hear you, Dawn. Absolutely. Thank you so much. You all have an amazing day. It was an absolute pleasure, and I look forward to speaking to you all. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you everyone for joining us today, and special thank you to Andrea and Candice for presenting today. I really enjoyed it too. So yeah.
Thank you.
So a survey has been posted on today's presentation in the chat box. So we would like you guys to just take some time to fill it out for us, as it's required by our funders to continue to provide no-cost webinars for us. A follow-up email will be sent to all attendees within the next 2 business days with all materials too. So guys, have a nice day. This is the end of the webinar. Thank you all once again for joining. Thank you.